Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the Guitar Underground. I'm your host, Neil Santos. And what if I told you that some of the most memorable solos that you've ever heard were built around repeatedly playing the same note over and over again, right? Most guitar players assume great solos come from knowing more scales, more modes, more fretboard patterns, right? But many legendary players create tension, emotion, and excitement by doing something surprisingly simple. They keep returning to the same note. That's the power of the pedal tone. All right, so today we're going to talk about the pedal tone in all its glory. Imagine you're playing tag as a kid, right? You could run all over the playground, but you always knew where home base was. So pedal tone gives your solo a musical home base, and that's something you can play around with. So today, we're going to look at what a pedal tone actually is, why it instantly makes solos sound more intentional, and how it creates tension without any complicated theory, and 5 simple ways that you can start using it this week in your playing and in your practicing. All right? So if you're enjoying the Guitar Underground and you want more practical strategies that actually help make you sound better and not just learn more stuff, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any further episodes, all right? Further episodes or future episodes, either one of those. All right, so let's get into it. 5 facts about pedal tones, all right? Fact number 1. A pedal tone creates instant structure, right? So if you don't know what it is, a pedal tone is simply a note that you repeatedly return to while exploring other notes around it. That's it. It's very simple. Simple concept. But I don't know about you, but I forget to use it all the time. And it's such an easy way to get more out of your solos, make simple licks sound more complex, and all these things. We're going to look at all that stuff. But you can think of it as like an anchor, right, in your scale. Instead of wandering aimlessly through a scale, you're constantly like reconnecting your phrases to something familiar. And audiences love that. Listeners love that. Like imagine you start a solo and every phrase sounds unrelated, right? One lick goes in one direction, the next one goes somewhere else, but nothing feels connected. It's completely disjointed in a way. So most players think that structure comes from knowing more theory, right? But often, structure comes from repetition. Like listeners, especially non-guitarists, but guitarists too, because it's just music, and music has certain elements that are pleasing to the ear. But, a guitarist might put up with more noodling and disjointed licks as long as they're cool, right? But a listener, they just want to enjoy the song, and it's that repetition from what you're playing, or repeating the chorus at the end of the song like 800 times, like I want to rock and roll all night and party every day. 800 times, they love it, right? So this is a way to bring some of that into your solo, and it gives you like a safety net, like as you're repeating this note and you kind of just keep going back to it. So no matter like where you travel on the fretboard, you know exactly where to land. All right, so that's point 1, or fact 1. Fact 2, it makes simple ideas sound more musical, right? If you have a simple idea that's just like, for example, a pentatonic idea, That's very simple. 3 notes, just ascending the scale. But what if you did like a pedal tone, right, always back to that 5th of the scale. Sounds very cool, like all of a sudden it has way more class, and it's punching above its weight. As far as licks go, it's just 3 ascending notes, but now you're going back to that pedal tone and making it sound way more complex, which is cool. So like allows you to create contrast with your phrases, and the repeated note stays the same while everything around it changes. And that contrast between things changing and things staying the same is what's going to grab attention. That's how they work. Imagine you have some simple licks like that, but you're worried they never sound impressive enough or as impressive as you'd like them to. But adding that pedal tone to them, it just makes all the difference. The goal isn't playing more notes, it's to make the notes matter more, right? You can create compelling solos using fewer notes this way with less effort. And that's a huge confidence boost during improvising, right? You don't have to have a bunch of 1,000-note licks. You can have these little ones and just start adding pedal tones in, and it's just going to sound amazing. I just want to point out, too, that pedal tones can be above the note, too. Just because I added the fifth here, it could be above, you know? Wait, well. Might be a little harder to pick and like work out with your mind, especially if it's on the first finger. I feel like if it's on the pinky finger, I think that sounds cool, man. I don't know. To me, it kind of sounds a little bit like bagpipes, you know? They always have that drone going on underneath. And, you know, say what you will about bagpipes. You like them, love them or hate them. They're effective. I feel like they definitely, one way or the other, they definitely encourage an emotion. Maybe that's wistfulness and sadness, or maybe it's irritation and anger. I don't know. It depends on which camp you're in, camp bagpipe or not. But yeah, it has that same sort of vibe to it, I think, in my opinion. All right. Fact number 3 about pedal tones. They create tension naturally, right? When chords change underneath a repeated note, the emotional quality of the note changes. So suddenly one note that can sound stable, it can sound tense, it can sound emotional or hopeful or unresolved, depending on what chord is underneath it, right? If you switch the chord, it changes. It's almost like those optical illusions where it's like they take one color, like a color swatch, and they put it on one background and it looks like dark red. And then they slide it over another background and now it looks like bright pink. Same color, but it all depends on what is underneath it and how it contrasts with it. So it's the same thing with sound, right? If you have one note here, and now I can change the note below it. And then I can change the note below it. Change the note. So that one note, that A, is changing how it sounds. That's your constant, and you got those other ones moving below it in that case. So that's the idea. So, you see what I write here. Imagine you want your solo to sound expressive, but you're not sure how. Expression isn't always about choosing different notes. Sometimes it's about hearing familiar notes in a new context. So that's what it is. And you stop chasing the emotion and you start hearing music more deeply this way. Like, what does this note sound like over this pedal tone? Or what does this note sound like over these chords, right? So pedal tones can help bring that sort of element to your playing. All right. Fact number 4 about pedal tones. Pedal tones connect pentatonic boxes, right? So many players feel trapped inside one scale shape, but a pedal tone becomes a landmark that helps connect multiple positions, right? Imagine you know several pentatonic boxes, maybe all of them, but struggle moving between them smoothly or coming up with licks in other shapes, right? Maybe all your licks are in shape 1. Well, what you can do is use a pedal tone and explore the other shapes imagine using a common tone, like maybe the root, as your pedal tone, right? So you can just jump to the root if you can find it. You have to familiarize yourself with it in another shape. And then now you have all the same licks because they're all in relation to that one pedal tone. And because they're pedal tone licks, they're going to sound good and like not that good and complicated are the same thing, but they'll sound like what Paul McCartney would say. It'll sound expensive, right? Like, the cold sounds expensive. I don't know, that sounds like George, but anyway, the idea is there. It sounds like a more expensive lick than a normal lick, I guess. Yeah. And fact number 5, great solos are built on recognition. We already kind of touched on this, but listeners love familiarity. When a note keeps returning, their ears start recognizing a theme, and that's what makes a solo memorable. Your solos imagine your solos feel technically okay, but they're forgettable. People remember ideas, right? Not note counts. It makes me think of motifs, right? A motif is like an idea that you keep bringing back and developing. And I feel like pedal tones may be the smallest form of motifs. It's just one note, but you're bringing it back to it all the time. So it's like the micro motif. Trademark. Micro motifs. Trademark, Neil Santos. No, I don't know. I see it like that. It's just a small idea you can bring back over and over. And that sort of repetition is going to make it stick in people's heads, which is good. That's what you want with your music. You want it to live in people's heads, in their ears. All right. So there was 5 facts about pedal tones that you may or may not have known. And now we're going to look at 5 actionable tips that you can use today to work in these pedal tone ideas into your playing. But first, I need to read the obligatory pentatonic wave pitch. All right? Here we go. This actually reminds me of something I see all the time from players who take the pentatonic wave personality quiz. A lot of guitarists think their biggest problem is speed, technique, or learning more scales. But when they take the quiz, they often discover the real issue is something completely different, like fretboard navigation, phrase timing, or confidence. I think that was phrasing and timing. My phrasing and timing was off with that. The quiz only takes a couple of minutes, and when you're done, you get a free 3-lesson email course specifically designed around your playing style and your biggest challenge. So if you're curious, you can check it out at pentatonic.com/personality. You might be surprised by what it reveals about your playing. All right, sorry about that. All right, back to the episode. Here are the practical application segment. Tip number 1, use the root note as your pedal tone. All right, so start simple. Pick the root note of the key and keep returning to it between phrases. All right, try this over every backing track you practice over this week. All right? So you can start without a backing track and simply, use one of the open strings. And just see how this sounds, just try, like say we're going to do D minor, right? So. So that's the simplest way, right? You're just going up one string, and I was doing D minor pentatonic, So that's the idea. But now let's try it in a shape, right? So we were doing A minor before. So A is here. Now let's try this. I'm just going to play the bottom notes of that shape 1. And I'll just keep coming back to the A note, periodically. Yeah, like that. And like the next simplest way is to just play that note and then the two notes below it, right? So what's that song? I lost it. I think it was Tears for Fears. But yeah. That's one of my favorites. I like that pattern. So on the A, the first shape, so that it's like this: 7, 5, 7, 7, 7, 5, 7, 5. Back to 7. And like, you can mix it up. The second time around, skip that 5 and just go right to the 7. So one pattern is this. And the next pattern is this. So you have a long version and a short version, and you just mix it up and to get some sort of unpredictability. You can kind of riff around with that, get jazzy with it. All right. Let me try it over backing track here. One sec. So this one's in D major. All right. So E is going to be my read. All right. So that's the idea. We try to use the higher D. This is a little more like of a brain twister for me. Let's try it. All right. Yeah. I really like pedal tones when you're contrasting with something that's more like a quicker lick, like I was doing there. I went to the A pentatonic at the end there. Right? And then you go into D and then just break it down and use the pedal tones and like go slower. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like it. I think the pedal tones, especially if you let them ring out, to me, it emulates that thing that piano players do, where they're kind of just playing a line, but as they're playing the line, they're letting every note ring out. And it kind of gives you that vibe. It does to me anyway. It's a ding, 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 And then you can like contrast that with shorter clipped notes, staccato notes or whatever that end. Yeah, something to mess around with. So that's number one. Try to just mess around with using the root as your pedal tone. All right. Now here is tip number 2. Another way to use pedal tones is to create a question and answer phrase. So play a short lick, return to the pedal tone. Play another lick, return again to the pedal tone. All right. So the pentatone kind of becomes the answer to every musical question. So let me try that using the old backing track here. All right, cool. You can have fun with that. It leads to different ideas. I'm so all about trying to play as melodically as I can. I couldn't resist but change the pedal tone for that A, because at the end is an A major. And my pedal tone I was using was D. But when the A major came, I just changed the pedal tone to that C sharp, right? Because that's the third of A. And that lends to it. So, but you can still keep the pedal tone effect going, right? So for D, the other chords I'm playing. And then when it gets to A, go. And then back to D or whatever for the next one. Or maybe I bring it down. And that way you kind of have almost like two lines going on at once. You know, kind of like the poor man's Julian Lage sort of licks, where he has like multiple melody lines going on at once. And I think that, this may be the entryway into that sort of playing and that sort of thinking, So that's number 2. Try to do a lick, go back to the pedal tone. Do a lick, go back to the pedal tone. All right. Tip number 3, limit yourself to 3 notes plus the pedal tone. We kind of, touched on this a little bit, but this is fantastic creativity exercise because you don't need a whole scale. You just use a small note set and let the pedal tone glue everything together. All right. So let me try that. You rewind a little bit here so I don't run out of back and reverb out. There's that C sharp. Yeah, all right. You can get rhythmic with it, especially with just 3 notes or whatever. What was I doing there? Doubling up the pedal tone. Something like that, and just kind of see what melodies come up and what they remind you of and where they take you. But always trying to keep that pedal tone going. Now, obviously, the hard part with this is the finger coordination, right? Between trying to keep one finger in a spot on the neck while kind of working around it with your other fingers. Like there was a point in the last example where I just couldn't, I wanted to go to the 10th fret on the B string and my fingers just wouldn't do it. And I really had to like think about it. Like I kept missing it or playing other stuff. And I was like, no, I want to go there for some reason. My finger won't do it because I had my ring finger doing the pedal tone and my middle finger was like, But it's just practicing it and being gentle with yourself. Don't be like beating yourself up. If you can't do it, just keep trying. You'll get it. Also picking, right? So now you're string skipping. You're picking like here on the G string to the E string. And I think that, you just get it with time. I would do a lot of like down on that one and up. So outside picking, meaning you're picking from the outside of both of these, like saying like the space in between those two strings is the middle and you're picking towards the middle, picking outside. But I guess it also depends on if you're double picking your pedal tone. So I don't know. Just use your intuition. See what feels comfortable. If you can pick it both ways, pick it both ways. That's always good practice. I wanted to mention about finger coordination before we go on to the next tip is that a good practice routine, if you want to use not just pentatonics and use like the 7-note scales, and it sounds like Ingve to me, right? This technique, because you get this sort of classical, neoclassical vibe where, no. So that's a good technique because you start with the notes being on the same string, and then you start moving down strings. So if you guys at home, we're at the 12th fret on the E string, like at home, if you're just listening. So 12th fret on the E string, and we're playing the E major scale, and we're going to go 12, 11, 12, 9. And then we're going to keep going. That 12 on the bottom string is our pedal tone. And we're going to go 12 on the B, and then 10 on the B, and then 9 on the B. All right, so far we have this. And you could go back up. Holy crap. So you could do that and that has a nice like symmetrical thing. I think it's probably 8 notes or something. Or you could add the G string to it and finish the scale, and that's like the 11 and the 9 on the G string. Right? Or all right, so I'm trying something different there. I was thinking about picking, and a lot of times people will use another finger, maybe your middle finger for the pedal tone. Or Tom Bukovac talks about maybe not separating the pedal tone and the single notes, So I'm having this note on the B string, the 8th fret, ring out the whole time. So everything I'm playing, I'm just playing. But then if you hit that one at the same time, that's another way to use pedal tones. They don't always have to be alternating. So there's a couple tips, right? A couple different variations on them. All right, cool. Tip number four, move through multiple pentatonic shapes. All right, so this is what we're talking about, where it can help you a bit when you're trying to make sense of the different shapes and find those same licks. So choose a pedal tone, appears in several positions. Say it's the root, just for simplicity's sake. And then practice finding it in different boxes, and use that landing point when you switch positions. All right, so say you were using A minor, and we're using A as the pedal tone. And we have these three notes below it. So A is on the G, on the D string on the 7th. And then the notes below it are 5, 7, and 9 on the G string. So, so wherever you find an A, you can use that same shape. Right? Or down here. Or up here. Now it's going to be a little different in shape because of the B string situation we got going on. What here? Or here? That's not an A at all. So anywhere you can find an A, you have that shape. So that's one way you can use pedal tones to kind of get more out of one lick. Bring it all around the neck. Say you wanted that lick, but you're up here at the 12th fret. You don't want to go down here. So you go, and then you go. You have it right there, because as long as you can find that A, you're good to go. And if you transpose to another key and now you have a D, right? Then you just move that pedal tone to D. So something to think about. Another little tipperino for you, from me. Tip number 5, listen for emotional changes. All right, so put on a simple backing track. Hold or repeat the same pedal tone while the chords change. Notice how the feeling changes without changing the note. All right, this is more like not the theoretical exercise, but it's less about fingers and playing, more about feeling the note deeply. All right, so let's get weird and just listen to one note over everything. All right. I think I'll just know it. All right, that's G, and that plays B minor. A major. Now let's try this note. That's the 3rd of D. Now it's the 7th of G major. But now it's like the 5th of B. Now it's the 6th of A. Let's try that one. That's the 6th of D. Now it's the 3rd of T's. Let's do to B. 9th of A. You buried 2 notes. Why not? Sorry. I just am playing so little. Sometimes you just have to play. So hopefully that was enjoyable for you. Yeah, so that's the idea. Just really try to listen to how your notes you're playing are reacting to the chords below it. Like you can get so many different colors just from one note. There's some solos, I can't think of any right now, with just one note, like for a long time. And the chords are changing underneath it, but the note takes on different meaning. It's just a held note. Or like when a singer does that, like at the end of a song, right? Yeah. Like, I'm thinking of ballads, but what the long note comes to my mind is Welcome to the Jungle, right? I think it is, where he just sings that one note for so long and they're just riffing and going crazy underneath. That's why those things work, right? Because like, even though it's just one note, you're changing its personality with what, the context of what you're playing underneath it and stuff. So, yeah, cool. So that's 5 facts about pedal tones and 5 actionable tips that you can use. I'd love to hear in the comments. Let me know if you try any of these tips or if you use pedal tones, and if I missed anything, because Lord knows I don't know everything there is to know about pedal tones, and I'm looking to learn. So the pedal tone strategy proves something important. That great solos aren't built on complexity, they're built on connection. One repeated note can bring structure, tension, phrasing, movement, and emotion to your improvisation. And if you've been feeling stuck lately, don't assume you need another scale. Sometimes the biggest breakthrough comes from doing less. I love that. And from simplicity is the key, right? A single note used intentionally can teach you more about musicality than 100 new licks. So I'd love to hear from you. If you ever experimented with pedal tones, like I said, what happened when you tried it? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you found this episode helpful, please make sure to follow, subscribe, and share with another guitarist who's been feeling stuck in the boxes, all right? Freedom on the fretboard doesn't come from knowing more places to go. It comes from knowing where to return. Mic drop. Anyway, I'm Neil. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time on the Guitar Underground. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.